Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, hey, this doesn't work. So let's get open for business here, guys. Thank God I am done with work, and it is hump day, and we are over the hump. Now, the Cowboys get back on the practice field today, and great news is Xavier Woods is now back on the practice field, as well as Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory practiced one day last week, non-contact and everything else, but was held out, of course, of the game. So we've got him back. So we've got another one of the wild, rabid dogs that are ready to rock and roll against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is interesting, of course, because when this happened during the game or before the game, I was completely 100% shocked that the Dallas Cowboys were negotiating with Brice Butler. You'll famously remember that last year, he basically demanded and put a gun to the Dallas Cowboys' head. Wait. Actually, let me get a shot for Joe Boo here. He famously put a gun to the Dallas Cowboys' head and said, if I am not guaranteed a starting spot, I'm going to leave. And we haven't seen somebody quite that bold since Rob Ryan, who famously said, I'll be unemployed for about 5 minutes. Well, that was the longest 5 minutes in history, I got to tell you. But Brice Butler basically dropped the curtains, dropped the veils on the Dallas Cowboys and basically said that, hey, they're trying to force the ball to Dez Bryant. And if I don't get an opportunity to start, then I don't want to be here. I know I'm a baller. I know I'll get a job like that. Now, when you look at his career, he's got 73 catches for 1,177 yards, a 16.1 average, and 8 TDs. And last year with the Cowboys, 15 receptions, 317 yards, but 21.1 yard average. Now, granted, that's skewed because there wasn't that many catches, and one of them went for 53 yards. But clearly, he was at least a deep threat. And some people thought that maybe they should have kept him to begin with. Now, let's go to the interview on Chat Sport. Shout out to Chat Sports for this interview, and take a look at how Brice Butler has evolved.
I mean, I didn't think I was not going to make the team that I went to. So even if I had some type of thought of, being back on the Cowboys later in my career, I didn't think it was going to happen, the year that I left. So, yeah, but we're back, excited to be on the team. And whatever I can do to help the team, do well, I guess, I'm going to do whatever I can. I mean, nobody's talked to me about playing time or anything. I haven't even practiced yet, you know what I'm saying? So I have no clue what my role is going to be yet. We didn't speak about that. Speaking to Sanjay last night, he was just telling me what he expects from his receivers. And I feel like I can be, what he wants from, his group. So I'm just going to have to go out and prove it. All the stuff that, I read from, I guess disgruntled, Cowboys fans about how they feel I went out. Half of that stuff wasn't true. It was just they don't know what was going on. Me and you spoke when I got to Arizona about, how I was spending a lot of time with Dez, working out with him and stuff like that, keeping in touch with him. And Dez was the one who called me last week and told me I should come back here. But at that point in time, I hadn't got a call from the team. And I was just like, I'll go back if they, they reach out. But because, in that scenario, you're not a free agent. You're just whoever wants you, that's where you're going to go. So, a lot of people, I guess misinterpreted, what was said. And obviously I wasn't telling people and talking to people about it, which I didn't feel like I needed to. But obviously I'm here, so there obviously isn't that much love lost if there was any. So the first time I got a call was Monday. 7 days ago was on Monday. I was looking for fans to put on the roof of my new house in Arizona. And Will McClay called me and was just saying, we've been talking about you in the meeting room and, what would you feel like coming back? And I was like, I'm on the street. So if you guys want me back here, I'll be back here in a heartbeat, So that was the first conversation. And then He called me back on Tuesday and said it would happen this week if it did, if I was available. Then I got a call. I had 2 teams that scheduled me on visits, and then I called them back and told them, I would rather come here than go into those teams. So.
Wow. Like he said, when they called, I was on the streets. So sure, I'll be there. There's a saying that the grass is always greener on the other side till you get there, and you find out it really isn't. Now, what this does is, one, it gives the Cowboys an insurance policy. Terrence Williams, you got to be sweating a little bit right now. Because the NFL, of course, has a way of being a little bit harder on Dallas Cowboy players than anybody else. Now, we do know Reuben Foster was definitely reinstated today, so, shout out to him. But we know that the Dallas Cowboys get more punishment than anybody else for the same things. And so the NFL could still be lurking to make a move. Now, here's the caveat on this. A lot of people said we should have just cut Terrence Williams to begin with. Well, here's the problem. His salary is guaranteed for the year. So whether you keep him or cut him, it's going to cost you the same, except if he gets cut. If he gets suspended. If he gets suspended, the Cowboys can void his contract and save the money. So if that happens, the Cowboys have somebody that you could plug in right away that knows the system, that may actually be a better player. Terrence Williams, I always call him the invasion of the body catcher, because he has a way of having those brain fart catches that bounce off his body and somehow becomes pick sixes. Famously didn't get out of bounds with the clock running. We didn't have timeouts against the Giants. So the Cowboys are kind of got Brice Butler back as an insurance policy. And he truly has had a slice of humble pie. And being unemployed for a couple of weeks makes you wonder and say, damn, maybe it wasn't quite so bad in Dallas, and I'd like to get another opportunity. So it's not a bad move. He's not costing you much. If something happens with Terrence Williams, it may enable you to actually save some money on the cap for next year. And you never know. He might end up coming back a little bit hungry, and maybe he ends up cracking the starting lineup. But as he said in his interview, nobody's talked about me, about being on the active roster or playing time or anything like that. I'm just happy to be glad to be back and getting a paycheck. So we'll see how that goes. Now, later on today, I'm starving. I got to go cook some dinner and everything else. I've been sitting here thinking about probably the biggest move the Dallas Cowboys made all offseason. And it's not a player. It's not a draft. It's actually 2. 1, the training staff. We have done better with keeping people on the field so far this year than any other year. And I hate to say it, we got a trainer from the New York stinking Giants. That's one of the things. The second, Chris Richard. You look at this defense, and specifically guys like Byron Jones, who you never really thought that much about. Chris Richard is the real deal. Does Chris Richard have a little extra incentive for this game? I'm thinking he does. So we're going to be talking about that later, as well as I'm creating an event on Facebook, so that way everybody can get in touch with this stuff. I've mentioned that I want to do a tailgate to be the mother of all tailgates at FedEx Field. And from looking at the tickets right now, they may be giving away for Snickers bars by the time the game comes around. So the prices of the tickets aren't that bad. But the question I have for you guys is, I'm trying to decide if I want to do this with, an SUV and keep it kind of a small thing, or and be closer to the stadium, or if we want to get an RV, which may be a little bit further out, but basically set this up to be a party at the stadium. In which case, if you don't want to buy a ticket to go in, we'd have the RV, we'd have TVs, we'd have canopies, we'd have food, and just make it like a party out in the parking lot. So I'm looking for your guys' guidance on this and how big we're going to make it. But then this will give you a place that we can all keep in contact about exactly how it's going. Unlike Cowboy Stadium, they're a little bit liberal as far as the things that you can do at FedEx Field. They're just happy that people are going to show up. So we're going to get that going today, and as soon as that's up, I'll let you guys know. In the meantime, email me at cowboysmark94@gmail.com so that way I can at least get you guys on the list and at least point you in the right direction. As always, friends, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boo Sports Report. I can't do this without you.
I'm here with my people doing the hot wing challenge.
Day one.
And they didn't even drink any milk. But I got one thing to say. How about them Cowboys? Let's go! There you go. Hopefully we'll get some great picks.
I was talking about the hot wing. Hey, man. My ears smoking, my mouth burning. They hot.
They hot.
I want to see you this year.
All right, you heard it. He said this ass is hot.